I believe that Trump needs to use that bully pulpit, and he's great at that, to rally support for things like national reciprocity and to campaign in favor of AR-15s and other commonly owned guns, because we're letting them demonize these firearms, and there are over 25 million of them in private possession.
We should get kids off social media and start teaching them the proper use of guns, how to defend themselves, their own self-defense. Should we not make that an integrated part of the education, so they're not picked on or not threatened, and certainly not scared, right?
You're right.
The idea that the solution to kids feeling picked on is that they should know how to pick up and use a firearm is certainly a take, and we're gonna get to that. But I just wanna briefly comment on what the other guy said, which is, how dare these liberals demonize AR-15s? You know who I think is demonizing the AR-15s? All of the people who use them to murder kids. Why doesn't that bother you? By the way, you could say, don't do that. That's not what it's for. I can say, my hobby isn't AR-15s, I like board games. I like the board game Quacks of Quedlinburg. But if people all across the country were picking up copies of this board game and bludgeoning to death dozens of kids at a time, I would want to comment on that rather than the people who have an issue with the board games or something. But anyway, he presses on, and Steve Bannon has a solution to our problems of bullying, Rayyvana. Kids don't know how to use guns to defend themselves. What do you think?
I mean, it's obviously Steve Bannon is someone who he'll just say anything. He doesn't really, I don't know how much of what he says he actually believes in, but he'll say anything. But what he's proposing literally is, if you're getting picked on in school, pick up a gun, defend yourself from your bullies. Potentially shoot and kill children in schools. That is the best way that we combat bullying. We, instead of teaching respect in school, instead of creating a loving and caring atmosphere, we should teach kids self-defense, so that when someone inevitably picks on them, we're not going to try to prevent bullying from happening. We're just going to teach kids lethal force they could use in the event that they are the victims of some type of bullying, which is, such a conservative response to any given issue. Don't try to prevent the issue. Never try to prevent the thing from happening in the first place, which is, where we see conservatives coming out with, we should give the death penalty to anybody who does a mass shooting. Well, most of them kill themselves after the fact anyway, but if you're willing to go out and commit a mass shooting, you're essentially willing, you've shown that you're not a logical person, and you're probably just gonna be okay with the end consequences of it anyway. You aren't preventing anybody from taking those actions. You're just trying to pretend that you're doing something to stop it from happening.
100%. I love, by the way, also how it immediately shows, like there's a lot of different ways you could defend yourself. Self-defense comes in a lot of forms, but these guys immediately launched to, oh yeah, no, I gotta use a gun. The idea of me being able to physically defend myself is so inconceivable to me that I think you immediately pick up an AR-15 and shoot little Johnny because he insulted your pants or whatever.
Right.
By the way, there's an estimated 3.2 million students bullied each year. And we're missing a major opportunity. That could be millions of murderers if he's successful. And by the way, I hope that this doesn't need to be pointed out, but the idea that people who feel like they've been bullied a lot should lash out with guns is how we get so many of the mass shootings that we have. How does he not understand that that is the story of many of these mass shooters? Kids who feel like they've been picked on, don't have friends, they're being bullied, so they grab a bunch of guns and they start going to town on their school. And apparently we haven't had enough of that for Steve Bannon, but don't worry, he's only one of the most influential people in the country. And I don't just mean that he's probably gonna be brought into the second Trump administration. I literally saw Mediaite's most influential media list, and he's in like the top 20. He might be in the top 10. Anyway, absolutely insane. Does he have kids? Who could possibly think that that is a solution to the problems that children face?
Someone who is trying to sell guns.
That is 100% true.